in the Hindu spiritual life, they say that first you have to listen to the spiritual teaching, which is from the scripture. So that is called Shravana, or listening, first stage. The first stage is Shravana, or listening to the scriptural teaching. Got to pay attention and listen. The second stage is manana, or you start thinking about what you heard. A certain theology was expounded to you, a certain darshana or worldview based on God was introduced to you. So you start thinking about it if it makes any sense. That is the second stage called manana. The first stage is Shravana. Then the third stage is nidhidhyasana, which means very deep contemplation in the nature of meditation. So got to begin with Shravana, listening of the scriptures, then manana, thinking whether it makes actually sense, whether it can become your personal truth, are you prepared to nod assent to it? And then thirdly, nidhidhyasana, deep contemplation and meditation, so that it becomes your own personal truth and not the teaching of Master Jesus and Master Krishna. It becomes your own personal discovery, your personal truth. You got to get there. You can't be gullible believers. If you're gullible believers, you'll probably be attached to your religion, and then you may be prepared to fight for your religion against another religion. But if you've discovered the truth of your religion, then you come home and you are out of duality. And you will be a good influence on the whole world. So Shravana, Manana, Nidhidhyasana. So we are first listening to a teaching, the scriptural teaching, and I'm also speaking in the Christian metaphor to make you, to convince you that this is also the truth in the Christian religion. And then I'm asking you to think, which is manana, and then the deeper meditation when we are doing it with closed eyes, that is nidhidhyasana, the deeper meditation, so that the truth will be internalized for us. It's not a thing to be believed in, but it's a thing which has been discovered and it becomes our own truth. So now, does anybody want to share anything as a result of the... Yes, sir.
It's amazing how you, when you focus like a laser into just one problem or into one situation, and try not to change it, you can start seeing how your projections of the duality can really affect it.
That's it.
And you see your reality, because maybe the problem was not with the person,
exactly.
It was your problem, and you were projecting the demon part on the other person.
Right. You demonize the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can be moving from problem to problem, very nice, with a nice transition, like when maybe you don't solve it, but you get like the information comes to you, then you can move to another problem, but you have enough time to focus to that specific, to your attention, and it like jumps back to you, the information.
Great. You made a good beginning. Lady at the back.
A mí me pasó que lo voy a ir diciendo y te doy tiempo para saber, si no se me va la idea. Me pasó que claramente veo las dos partes. Estoy más en Shakti, cuando estoy en Shiva, y me he visto como he estado en medio, también he llorado para acercarme a Dios, tratando de entender esta dualidad, porque somos materia y somos espíritu.
I have seen myself being both in my life, being Shiva and Shakti, and I have seen myself trapped in this duality, working in it.
Lo digo así, no se oye el micrófono. Así se oye. Y entonces, lo que más me cuesta trabajo es ver que cuando estoy para afuera, porque vivimos en un mundo donde el común es estar para afuera y generar. Entonces me cuesta trabajo ir en contra, como ver la manada de borregos, ir en contra, porque al final te pisan. Y puedo ir con ellos y fluir, pero ya no dejo de ser yo mismo por todo lo que estoy diciendo y aprendiendo. Pues para mí es muy difícil ahorita encontrar el equilibrio entre la materia y espíritu y cómo manejarme en este mundo material donde todo está hecho para ir por donde para ser consumismo, para estar para afuera, no para adentro. Me cuesta mucho trabajo encontrar el equilibrio, sin sufrir, porque si no sufres mucho, ¿no? Estando tú y te aíslas de la gente y no te aíslas, la misma gente te aísla.
So she has been sharing how, through learnings that happened in her life, she has been seeing that the whole world is formed, is created in a way that we move forward, we move to outside pleasures, no? And somehow she has been, like with the wholeness of people, just following, going outside, even though it's not more natural for her, no? And seeking, but at the same time, trying to move inside or going against the flow of society,
Right.
It's very painful. No? She says, it's not that I get isolated, but it's like people isolate me, puts me on that side, and it's been very painful and not being able to find the equilibrium, the balance between the mundane world and the spiritual path. So, hay una pregunta entonces de cómo logro ese equilibrio, ¿no? So the question is, how do I get that balance? Because the whole world wants to push me out, and if I go against that flow, it's tremendously painful. She says, it's like I become alone, and how to deal with that contradiction or with that?
Yeah, very good question. This is, and that's why I say that if you are a true spiritual seeker, then you will know that society does not approve of your seeking in the first place, because your seeking makes everybody else insecure. Got to understand that. Are you following what I'm saying? Your seeking makes other people insecure who are on a more materialistic path. They feel threatened by one person going away and following something else. Especially this may happen in the circle of your relatives and circle of your friends. They see that this person is strange, he's doing funny things, he ought not to do this, he ought to go on a more normal path following the worldly life. And as I said, you've got to be true to the calling inside. And if you have to be true to the calling inside, then you may have to take a step against society. And unless and until you actually, now you're taking a step against society for the sake of pleasure. Now you've got to take a step against society for the sake of God and salvation. And if you're not prepared to take it, you're not getting it. So that's why I say it's a journey into the unknown. Great masters give the teaching That's like the seed. That is you Sravana, you heard the teaching. Then the manana and the nidhidhyasana, will your master do for you? Will your master do for you? No, you've got to do it yourself. So you've got to work this out. And you've got to have the courage. So courage is a very important thing. You've got to have the courage to break loose from the shackles of society, which are binding on everybody for various reasons of convenience, not connected to the spiritual life. And nobody can, but you can break that shackle. And if you're interested in this life, got to work it out. So there will be people who will disapprove of what you're doing, but you're not doing anything in a very self-centered way. You're not doing anything for pleasure. And for the sake of pleasure, you have anyhow vetoed the world so many times. You didn't care for the world for the sake of pleasure. And now you've got to kind of put the world aside for the sake of moksha or salvation. Give this importance. If you're not going to give this importance, the imperceptible inner self will not become real for you. Then God is only outside for you. God is only outside. So this is a thing we've got to work out. We've got to work out. We've got to read the lives of saints. We've got to read the lives of spiritual people. What struggles they underwent. Their life has not been easy. Nobody's life has been easy. And the spiritual life has got its own difficulties. And you may have a difficulty in your spiritual life. And then you're very foxed by that difficulty because you had a very funny expectation that the spiritual life will be a bed of roses. How can it be? And the moment a doubt assails you, then immediately you are disturbed. Now your worldly life is not even a bed of roses. Then how can you expect your spiritual life to be a bed of roses? And you being a lazy person, just lying down on the couch, and all the teaching is going to come through a spoon for you? How can that happen? Got to wake up from that dream. Got to build it, just like you build a house. Just as you achieve anything in the spiritual life, except that here finally there will be no achievement because there is no self to say that, yeah, I got this. This is so great, I got this. So each of us must take this journey into the unknown by ourselves. By ourselves. And we may have to, as the journey gathers momentum and seriousness, then we may have to put the world by the side. And if you don't have courage, then you may not be able to put the world by the side. Either it may happen spontaneously to you that the world goes out of your life. It may happen because that may be your destiny. Or you may have to very consciously kind of steer clear of the world in order to get here. And the path is different for every individual human being. So you've got to actually work this out. And you're probably not working this out, because none of you may be actually on any path. You may just be doing a lot of window shopping. And you may be thinking that you're all very spiritual. And my intention is actually to disturb you. So that you may get a sense of what the spiritual life is actually about. Yes, sir.
Sí, ahorita en este espacio en el que estuvimos meditando, de repente me llegó una imagen en la que encuentro claramente un elevador, pero al acercarme al elevador veo que es una pintura, la quito y es en vez de un elevador veo que es una escalera pero hacia abajo. Entonces me llamó la atención ese momento anteriormente sentí un flujo de energía en el que iba yo, de repente eran pocas partículas, iba mi infancia y luego iba creciendo y las partículas iban aumentando hasta que al final las partículas y yo éramos lo mismo en un lapso de tiempo. Pero lo que me llamó después la atención fue de que de repente veo esa imagen en la que aparece un elevador, pero el elevador es una pintura y quito la pintura y es una escalera y va hacia abajo. Entonces,
he shares that in the last meditation he had some images. He shares that first he starts seeing like some kind of particles, and then he starts seeing he's part of these particles, becoming one with these particles. Then he sees like the image of an elevator, but he realizes that it was like a kind of painting. Suddenly the image is out, but instead of being an elevator, it was a stairway but going down. He thought he was going up.
Okay.
He saw an image of a stairway going down.
Okay. He came back to consciousness.
Shocked him somehow.
Yeah. So now his subconscious, a part of his consciousness, is actually telling him, this is a dangerous path. Because the path is going into the basement. Because that's just a suggestion from your subconscious mind, born of fear. Born of fear. That's why I'm asking you every 1 hour, am I disturbing you? Because the teaching is for spiritual seekers. And I do know that all of you are spiritual seekers, but I want you to be serious spiritual seekers. So I'm introducing you to something which is very serious in nature.
sí, yo lo vi como realmente a veces tú buscas un camino y dentro de ese camino tú crees que realmente vas a ascender, pero encuentras un engaño o encuentras, eso es lo que yo interpreté y eso es lo que sentí. No tanto miedo, porque yo lo que tengo es búsqueda. O sea, lo que busco es encontrar ese camino.
So he says that what he could see, it was like a veil of Maya, a veil of ignorance removed, because he has been seeking, expecting to be uplifted. So this image, somehow, he says it didn't produce fear, but it made me become in touch with truth. He said, because I feel I have a profound seeking. In life I have been seeking. But it was like a kind of revelation, no?
It actually, because he's a seeker, now the dream means the following thing. Because all seeking is outward going into the world of the senses. All seeking is an outward movement, and the subconscious mind has thrown up a picture showing that this is a movement away from that, opposite of that. Opposite of that. This is inward going. This is not outward going. This is going inward. An inward journey. I'm coming. 1 minute, I'm coming. There was a German author by name Hermann Hesse. All his works are centered on dharma and moksha, spiritual life, and in one work called Siddhartha, he deals with the goal of moksha. And in another work, it is called Journey to the East, is the name of that work, and it's inward going. Journey to the East means you go inward. And this is a journey which you got to take yourself. And I want to make a remark here. I asked you, gave a meditation on Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi, that is the awakened intelligence. How does it function? It has got a peculiar staying power so that it can come to grips. It becomes intimately in contact with what is. And then having no distraction and having no dispersion from that what is, able to stay with it. And then the what is vomits the reality. and then the intelligence grasps that reality. And then the what is will undergo a transformation. And then I asked you to observe that you as the observer, as Shiva, are already the naked eye. The eye which is not closed, which is not dressed by associations, the naked form of I, the I which is there, the self. And when you look at sorry. Yeah. Now when you look at, so the I is looking at this, and the I is veiled by Maya, by Shakti. So the I in its forgetfulness says, I am this. And then the I says, that person is this. And the I is basically seeing two forms. Now this is the root of the illusion, how consciousness is working. There is illusion built into it. Built into it. So Krishnamurti says the mind is the breeder of illusions. Because it will project and it will say something which is other than the true, other than reality. So was anybody able to realize that the source which is observing makes the fatal mistake of identifying this form which is the body with itself, and then saying that this form belongs to the other person. This I which is naked is observing, the true I is observing, and then it sees two forms. You see yourself in the thought picture conversing with somebody, having an argument with somebody, and then you say, this is me, this is that other person, and therefore you have made a false identification. From an infinite self, you have fallen and you have become a petty little fool. You're following this? How many of you discovered this? You discovered? Congratulations. Congratulations for you. Great. Congratulations. Great. Now this is the path I want you to go on. I want you to get this illusion. How you're looking at something, and then you say, instead of realizing that you are the perceiving intelligence, you are the observing power, you just forget that, and then you say, this is me. Am I making sense? Now, got to repeatedly keep looking at that illusion, so that that illusion will just drop down dead. And then in this is the birth of all world wars. Here, duality takes birth. This is the genesis of duality. This is the starting point of duality. The clouded Shiva, perceiving it, says that I am this body and somebody else is that body. I'm happy that some of you were able to see this. So one lady wanted to ask a question. Yeah.
I just saw that I do not know how to observe without judging or without trying to change the situation. So I'm making the effort not to try to change it, but is it good to make the effort or just I'm judging, that's it?
Oh my God, you are an observational activist. That's what I don't want you to be. I'm saying be a detached observer. Don't tamper with anything which you observe. And your ego is overactive. You've got to just allow things to unfold. Watch the drama, like how you watch a thing on the television. You're seeing a television thing unfolding. You're just sitting, very relaxed, and you're watching. No, you don't poke your finger into the TV screen and say, no, I don't like it, this has to change. Same thing, just got to be detached and watching. You failed the test. Sorry, you must know what your grade is.